biggest supplier of medical marijuana of the whole world at this moment in time. They supply the world of 50%, I think 50% of the world's medical cannabis all comes from the UK.
Because we've got the money in India.
It's not even legal here.
No, it's not even legal.
And that was before it was legal. Like, can you imagine?
But, so you can imagine what they're doing, bro. But also, the thing is that, as you said, so leaving the EU, Brexit, needing money, legalizing cannabis. Imagine they went to somewhere like Scunthorpe or somewhere like that. I think that was hits when we started doing deals with China for steel or something along those lines happening.
Okay.
Sometime there was something happened with steel. Somebody can correct me there. And there's a whole lot of towns in England right now who are struggling because of the manufacturing and stuff like that. Imagine they went to the poorest part of England, or not necessarily just the poorest part, but like a really buggered up part where nobody wants to go to, and you make that little Amsterdam. And not in a, and yes, it opens up the gateway. Everybody's been to Amsterdam knows there's lots of other stuff hanging around, not just the weed. But it's
the cannabis club, is it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I heard about that. There's an area somewhere, and they've got their own cannabis club already, and it's just
all
like
that kind of stuff. Well, we legalized it in South Africa, man. And dude, it's dope. So you can go there, and there's a little shop where you can go buy. It's buy in the actual shop. This little 420 cafe is hellishly expensive. If you just buy the dude from down the road, it's literally like an eighth, excuse the pun, of the price, and you can get that. And the thing is that it's legal, but people have to say what you want to subsidize. Do you want to get our tax money paid for somebody to be going through the legal system who smokes weed, or do you want your tax money to go towards the NHS? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like leave the stoners alone. And I can tell you right now, if Labour get into power, that is something that will happen. I can guarantee you, man.
100%.
That is something that
because it will fuel the NHS. If the NHS are giving it out, then they're gonna get the money
and tax money, bro.
Yeah.
What was it? Colorado had like something in the billions in terms of tax money.
I think it was
back.
like they made the first day it was legalized in the UK. They made like 20 billion. It was like what was it? Something like $1 billion or something. Something stupid like in one state. That was in one state.
And then as soon as that happened, all the other states, not all of them, but a lot of them were like boom, 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 cash money. People are going to smoke in any case. Let's make the money off of it.
But I think because as much as I think the UK is about money, I think the America think about it more.
About it for sure, dude. That's their god, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is, you're right. I think that is definitely one of the bigger things that swayed them over that way, 100%. Dude. That's a good point, I suppose. But then at the same time, we have to hope that the English are going to not only just see the money points of view and post-Brexit needing money points of view, but also, you got the medical side of things, and you have that stuff where you've got dudes that have got Parkinson's and stuff like that, and they take their little pill. You've all seen it on Facebook. The dude will take a little bit of cannabis or magic mushrooms, whatever, boom, sorted. So these things do have medicinal properties.
But it's definitely interesting the fact of like places like Canada who have it completely legalized, both medically and recreationally, and the tests and the research that they can actually do on it now to figure out what the actual effects on our body are and stuff like that. They can take it to that's what I mean. It's crazy to think about it. If they never had the war in drugs in the 60s, imagine how far we could have been on the knowledge, on the medicinal purposes for the drugs that we use.
And even from like a psychometric, whatever the word is, point of view in terms of stuff like psilocybin, how that affects depression and all those kinds of things, that's all been shown that does work, and it does, and there is evidence for them to say, well, look, actually we're giving these patients this is going on. And as you said, in Canada, they've now got doctors where you can get the discipline of not just being a doctor of like oncology or pediatrics, but you can do it in cannabinoids. And you can literally be a doctor just of cannabinoids, because that's how vast they reckon the reach is going to be. But also the main thing for what the UK government, for me personally, the biggest sell for the UK government to legalise weed is that the way that I was involved in doing a protest against human trafficking a while ago. And what they said is that you've got like three pillars leaning on one another, where you've got people trafficking, arms trafficking, and drugs trafficking. They're all dependent on one another to a certain degree at certain levels. And some of them not at all, some of them are intertwined that you can't even separate them. And the more money that we can take out of those guys' hands, like basic stuff like weed, if we can making the money off the weed instead of the dude who's selling a kid, you do weaken those two things.
That's what I mean.
You know what I mean? And it's only going to have a positive effect taking money out of drug dealers' hands.
I mean, you can just see like from Amsterdam, just for example, like I don't see any child or any young person really just smoking weed. Like mostly what I see is, or from the Dutch people that actually live there, They go into the shop, the adults, they go into the shop, they pick up, but they get back into their cars and they drive home.
Yeah, because it's all us annoying tourists who are sat there getting lit inside the place, acting a fool, you know what I mean? So they're like, no, they're just like, yeah, they're going to go home.
But then if you go further out from the main city of Amsterdam and you see the other coffee shops where like the local people go to, because last time I went to Amsterdam on our last day, imagine this, we bumped into this guy in the coffee shop and he's like, oh yeah, like he started telling us about, you should go to the other side of Amsterdam because it's actually much cheaper down that side.
Okay.
You can get more for your money than instead of paying the touristy prices. And also the coffee shops are nicer. You can get also better stuff, and also it might be more expensive, but the quality of what you're going to get from those companies for like the extra €5 that you might spend. So I mean, it works out there, and it was nice.
You guys did that?
We went to the other side. We found the coffee shop. It's over, do you know, near where the Guinness Museum is? It's over on that side. So.
All right. I feel you. I've only, look, you know, dude, been there 3 times, and I ain't done much, but I can't remember what else the other stuff was that I did, bro. You know what I mean? I always want to go to Anne Frank's house and all that kind of stuff.
I went to a couple of museums. I did.
You actually did that, eh? Good for you, man. Shit, I just sit there and go to coffee shop to coffee shop. Then 2 days later, I'm like, damn it, I wasted another freaking trip here, and I've got a headache, and I'm falling asleep. And but I love every second of it.
It was dope. It's a great experience just to kind of be. I don't know. You feel like once you go there for the first time, and if you are a smoker, it's like the angst that you have when you smoke here in the country where it's illegal, you don't have it there.
You don't have that little bit of tension.
Yeah, it's like, this is what it actually feels like to actually be spaked, you know?
And actually relax. You don't have to think about some copper coming and saying, you know, you could go to the nick because you smoked this flower.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, mate. And that for me, I think was the best thing, is I was completely chilled out and I wasn't worried about having anything bad happen to me.
See the police, it's like, hey
guys, how you doing? You know what I mean? The only bad thing you got to do is like freaking, I actually don't know, bro. Some dudes don't want to speak English. And us, like English speaking Westerners will go to every country and just assume they speak English, and that's pretty much your only other. But luckily, Afrikaans, my second language, isn't too far away from Dutch. There are some things which I can understand, not a lot, but there are some things I can understand. But you know what it's like, bro. When you've been in Amsterdam for a day, it doesn't matter if they're speaking English to you. You're still not going to understand them, bro. You're still going to be like, nope. Like, I don't know what's going on there, bro. But yeah, I want to go back in summertime this year, actually, as well.
I've never been in summer. That's one of my dreams to do.
And it looks lush because you got all the canals and that. But I'm always in like December or some shit.
Exactly. And it's cold, and I've got this jacket on. It's the wind, and that's the thing, because by the canals it's colder than London.
And then you just want to get indoors, and then it's like, then you got to take off 5 layers of stuff. I don't want to chill there when it's like, you know. So I went to Barcelona, and they said weed is legal, but it has similar laws to South Africa.
Cannabis social club.
Exactly that, man. So you just can't do it like out in public. It has to be in a private place. And I was in Barcelona. I googled to find this place. I had to. I can't remember what the name of it was, but you basically had to apply online. And then they gave you an address that you walked to this place. It was in some weird alleyway, and then there was literally like some doors that you could see were actually glass, but they'd been painted white with a paper number 10 put on it, and the thing said 10 whatever. So I just guessed it was it. I pushed the buzzer. As the thing opened up, you could just smell weed, and I was like, all right place. There was some lady there. All she asked me for was a copy of my driver's license. Then she gave me a little card. Went in. It's just like Amsterdam. It was just a bunch of Spanish dudes sat around having a smoke, watching football. You know what I mean? And they're playing pool. And then the only thing was, so I bought the weed there, pretty good money. And I had such drama, bro. And they had a little, if you review us on Google, we'll give you either free joints or free Coca-Cola. So I threw them on Google, and I was like, please give me something to drink. Like right now, I'm dying, bro. I got that. But it was lush. And the thing that made me so happy was that it was warm outside. And I could roll a little takeaway. Obviously, you always have a little takeaway there and just go chill on the beach. And chilling on the beach in Barcelona, for me, was hella better than chilling in the icy streets in Amsterdam. But you obviously didn't have as freely of a kind of feeling to it. And I don't want to. I speak even less Spanish than I do Dutch, so I definitely didn't want to end up with the police saying, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'll happily do that again.
I want to check out these other places, like other Amsterdam.
Other Amsterdam.
Places,
straight up, that's what I'm all about, bro.
What about this album here? Social Anxiety.
Social Anxiety, man. That was my first album, first project, anything I ever put together. It was when I had just moved to England. Long story short, I moved to England because I was gonna I was working on an ambulance at the time. I was gonna work for hospital for a while. I'd gone through a breakup. It was only going to be a 1-year thing, and then I was going to go back to South Africa, and I was going to basically rewrite my high school so that I could study medicine. I didn't get good marks, and then I lived in England for a year. I worked in a hospital. I decided I didn't really want to have that level of responsibility and stuff, and I was working in Portsmouth. I don't know, maybe they put me off. I don't know.
That's just the NHS in general,
NHS, man. And so I was like, look, I don't know if I want to do that, and then that's when I said I want to be a rapper. Because I was like, I couldn't think of anything else ever that I really wanted to do. And that was the only thing that ever really hung around from when I was a kid until when I was like 22. And so then in that year, from the end of 2011 going into 2012, I wrote this album, recorded it in 2013. And it was like save up, it's one of those things to save up all your money all for the studio time and that. But now in hindsight, when I look back on it, there's stuff where I cringe. And I could have definitely done better. I was trying to be uber, not commercial. So like a lot of them don't even have choruses. It's just like 5 minutes of deep, essentially poetry that should have been performed as poems, but I instead put boom back over.
You should check out this, what's his name? Hobo Johnson, I think.
Oh, he's dope. He's dope. He's dope, bro. He's dope. And he's got so much emotion in his voice when he raps and that, bro. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Guys like that, I think are... I don't know if like changing the game will be too big of a word, but they're definitely introducing new styles into the game, showing that you can do. And with this, there's this girl who got this song out now, the one You Should See Me in Your Crown, whatever her name is. There's like lots of young artists like that, like really young artists are coming up, and just the way in which they're approaching doing music, Poppy, as well, and a few others, are just the way they're doing music. They're changing the game, and there's no other way to say it. But even though a guy like Hobo Johnson is not as significant to the average
listener. But he
is,
though. That's the thing. Like, it's just the start. He's basically just performing poems in the form of a song.
Yeah,
like
in
that,
a rhythm.
or not even that, a poem that has a chorus. That's literally
a poem that has a chorus. And some of it I don't even think. And I'd go even further to say not just poetry. I think he's even doing like monologue or like even play little pieces.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Just within the format of a song.
Yeah.
Like some of it won't even rhyme or like whatever. And it's also how. Like super angry about stuff that it just comes across that these lyrics sound like they were script.
Yeah.
And then you put them into there. But and nothing wrong with that. I find it quite nice, which is why I say dudes like these are forever going to change the way people are doing their music.
Yeah, it's like even like I can't think of his name. Lin Moran, the guy who wrote Hamilton.
Oh man,
I can't remember his full name.
I know who you're talking about.
But I went to see Hamilton beginning of mid-March. Fucking dope.
Good,
I saw his last musical that he did before that called Into the Heights. Yes, I got that right. Fantastic. I've looked out recently. In the Heights is called. Yeah, I love when my brain works. In the Heights, right? And I saw that on the press day when I saw that one. But it's just the idea of that. It's so simple that we never thought about it. Musicals don't have to just be singing. We can use rap and spoken word.
Yeah,
Why
man.
not?
Yeah, man. Why not? Exactly.
It's like
it's music, bro.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
It doesn't just have to be like, whatever, some stuff like that, bro.
And it's just something as simple as that. And I was just like, why was he the first person to do that? All these rappers out there, like
rappers been doing this since the 70s, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And do you know why? And you'll know, and you'll agree with me straight away. It's because of the stigma with musicals is that it's going to be some like middle class white lady singing some song about her lover or something like that. It ain't going to be, and I know that is not all of it, and even that statement itself is slightly prejudicing. So I'm fully aware that Chinese opera's huge and all that kind of stuff.
No, but it's the same with the stereotype of poetry clubs. A lot of people probably think from the movies it's just guys in berets clicking, you know?
Exactly. There's certain stereotypes, I suppose. Yeah, and they do think that.
Yeah.
And they do find those stereotypes, man. You know as well as I do. The freaking man. I went to the one. I can't remember the name of the gig. It is, I think, at Boondocks. It's a really cool gig that they put. It's a sick gig. Either way, there was a lady who was doing a poem, a feminist, doing feminism poetry. A lot of feminist poetry I find eye-opening. A lot of it is good stuff. The stuff you don't think about from a guy. Some of it is the same crap you heard 50 times.
Yeah.
But this chick's poem, which I hate to call her a chick, this lady's poem, was all about having periods.